Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, everybody, but thank you for your patience with me. Now that I got that little thing out of the way, I have an easier time with kind of moving forward today. So let me get my headspace in the right place and make sure everybody's here and watching again. Interesting. I'm being told that, oh, there's a big white glare on the board. That's good to know. I'm being told that YouTube limits the live stream notifications to 2 per day. So if I get to a third one, you might not get a notification. When I finish this session now, which I expect to go for at least another hour, if not longer, then I will try to set up a time. If I had to guess right now, I'm going to live stream now until 12:30 or so, and then come back around 3 or 4. And that's all Eastern time, my time. Sorry for being my time centric. Okay. So now here's the thing. It's so sad because I had like the good energy momentum thing. So I wonder if I should even just start over and just pretend this was the beginning of my live stream. And sorry, I have this cold, I should mention again, that I should start over. And yeah, let me just start over. And Mathieu, oh wait, Mathieu I think might actually be watching right now because I saw, you could choose to use the beginning and then splice it together, but I think since I probably lost a lot of people and then new people joined, and restart and fix the white glare. Okay. Are you talking about, there's a white glare here? Where's the white glare? I don't actually see it. This right here? Or like up here? What's that glare? As I wait for the 20 seconds, just to the right of your writing, okay. Really? It's interesting. I'm looking at it, and there's always a little glare there. It's not so bad. Like if I draw here, can't you see that? The problem is it's glary. There's not a lot I can do about it. I guess the light's changed a little bit. What's causing that glare? Hold on. No glare? Yeah, it's this light for sure. So, there we go. Why don't I bounce the light there? Better? Better? That looks better. Better? Better? All right. Okay, let me erase that. Yes, perfect now. Ah, thank goodness. All right. So, sorry everybody. I don't wonder if CircleCI, anybody from CircleCI is actually watching this and like, oh my God, this idiot? What's wrong with us like agreeing to do some content with this guy? Ugh. All right, let's come back and go to here and go back to here and here. All right. Someday, well, here's the thing. I don't want to get too off topic here, but yes, someday I will get it together to really like redo this studio. But not today. Hello, welcome to, I don't know, I'm in the wrong. Hello, welcome to a special Coding Train episode. This episode is the first in a series of some number of videos that I don't know right now because I haven't made them yet, all about unit testing and continuous integration. And this really fits into my playlists and topics about open source development. So you know, if you've never used Git or GitHub before watching this, before you're here, I might suggest going and watching my GitHub Introduction to GitHub videos. If you've never used Node, you might even watch my what is Node video. I'll link to both of those in the description. But other than that, this is for the total beginner who has never done any unit testing or continuous integration. And you know why I know that this video is for that person? I am that person. Before last week, I've done a little bit of unit testing, and I've dabbled, I've read, I've seen other people do it. Mostly I'm afraid of it. I think like, oh, they're just gonna make it so I can never get anything done anymore. And people say, no, it's gonna make it so you can get everything done anymore. So I'm here to investigate that. And I should have mentioned this at the outright. This video series is sponsored by CircleCI, which is a company that provides as a service continuous integration. Now, what that is, I will get to eventually. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to watch me continue to talk to get to that. But let's start. So I'm going to come over to the whiteboard for really no reason other than to write the word here, unit testing. So continuous integration can be used for a variety of different things, but probably one of the more common things it's used for, from what I understand, is TDD, or test-driven development. So let's think about this. I was saying another video series you could watch, which is very useful about unit testing and with CircleCI, is from MPJ, Fun Function. I will link to those videos in the description as well. And MPJ says that you can think of software, a software project, a P5 sketch. You can think of my Snakes and Ladders game from last week as a big project divided into lots of little parts. There's the player part, there's the snake part, the ladder part. All of these are units. And what if I change something about the player to fix a bug, but don't realize it's also going to break whatever the ladder functionality or the snake functionality is? In this case, if I have tests that run for each unit to say, this little test code runs and says the ladder is working. This little test code runs and says the snake is working. This little test code runs and says the player is working. If I change just one, I can run all the tests and know that my code is fine. And the benefit of this is not just for your own personal sanity, but for collaboration and open source projects, because this can be automated. You can have, whenever somebody submits a pull request to your project, that tests are run. And it doesn't just give you confidence about merging, it gives the contributor a good feeling and confidence that the tests have run. And if they haven't run, then you can help them figure out how to fix it so that they do run. So all of this is good. Good. And I'm going to learn how to do it and try to adopt it more in my work. Now, where have I encountered this before? The place where I have, pressing all the wrong buttons. Well, I'm coming over here. The place where I have encountered this before is with the open source project P5.js. So P5.js, you might be aware of, is a library. Is a JavaScript library that I use for a lot of my tutorials, learning about the basics of coding and graphics and creative coding and data stuff and all this sort of stuff. So all of the source code for P5.js as a project is here. And one thing you might not realize is that maybe you've encountered P5.js as just this file. Pause for a second, because this would be nice to actually just open up the Snakes and Ladders. Okay. You might have encountered P5.js as just this file, and here I have my Snakes and Ladders game, in which you can see that's the P5.js library. And if I click on it, it's like, oh my God, this is all the P5.js code. But if you're working on developing the library, scroll. If you're working on developing the library, it's likely that you don't want to work with that file. So it's divided into lots of little units. And those units you can find in the GitHub repository in this folder called source. So in source, you can see there's all the code for all the color stuff. Core stuff is like the core drawing functionality, data, events. And so and then there's a build process. So once you finish doing your little change or whatever, then the build process runs and finishes off with this smushed together P5.js file that is all of the bits, all of the units together in one file, so it can be used more easily. So during that build process, tests run. So this is the source folder. These are the source folders. For example, I'm going to go here. One of the aspects that I worked on a while ago is the random functionality. So there's a file called random.js. And if I click on that, we can kind of look down and see oh, look, here's like, ooh, look, this is the actual random number generator code that's inside the P5JS library. This is what actually runs, and it's kind of really interesting. I should do a video about this linear congruential generator stuff, but and how random seeding works, but that's another topic. So we can see this is the code. Now, where was that? We have to remember that was in P5JS source math random. So now, let's take a look and say, there is also test. There's a folder called test, folder called source, folder called test. I'm going to go into test and look at this. Oh, and then I'm going to go into unit. And all of a sudden, look at this. Don't these directories look very familiar to you? For every single unit, piece of a puzzle of the P5JS library, there is a corresponding test. And so let's go right into math, and let's go right into random. Now, this is not the source code for the library, remember. You could cut back and forth between the video and look the same, but if I go here, you're going to see, this is a test. Now, you might be wondering, like, whoa, what does sweet mean? And what does I'm going to look like test and assert and type of. What is all this code? So this is where you most likely want to involve yourself with, it's a weird way to say it, but might want to select and use a testing framework or a testing library. If I'm right about this, P5 uses a testing framework called Mocha, which is a very popular one. I'm going to, as I get a little further into this tutorial, use something called Jest, and I'll talk about the differences or what that is, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But we can start to, even without knowing anything about it, we can see some code here, because look at this. All right, this is how we test the function random. The first thing we do is we set the random seed, and then we pick 5 random numbers. Then we set the random seed again, and pick 5 more random numbers. What should that do? What makes it correct? When you set a random seed, if you get the same sequence of random numbers. So first of all, though, before we even do that, like, does random even produce a number? So we should check to make sure all 10 of those things are numbers. And that's what this assert type of blah, blah, blah as a number is checking. Then we should check to make sure, well, random's supposed to give us a number between 0 and 1. So we should check to make sure all those numbers are between that range. And then we should test to make sure random seed worked. Is it the same sequence of random numbers? We could also test if when you pass in the argument 5, if you get a number between 0 and 5. When you pass in the arguments 1 and 10, do you get a random number between 1 and 10? So this is what testing is. That way, if I'm contributing to P5 and I change something somewhere else, what if I don't realize that something I'm doing somewhere else in the library actually breaks the way random works? This will tell me that. So this is why unit testing can be valuable in a large or even a small software project that is a collaborative project, or even one that you're just doing it to test yourself as you go. Okay, so that's the basic idea of testing. Now, let's think about what are all the pieces you need. So number one is, so there's so many possibilities. You could do testing in Python and whatever language you're doing. You could do it, there's so many. I'm going to zero down and live in the JavaScript world. You could be doing a server-side web app, just like a client-side JavaScript thing. Some open source library that's meant to be used. There's so many complicated scenarios, but let's pick a simple one. I just have a single JavaScript file called sketch.js. And this is my P5 creative assignment, blah, 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 blah. And what I want to do is I want to run a test on the code that's in that file. I need some mechanism to do that. The tools that I'm going to use to do that, so this is just for the testing, is I'm going to use Node. And I'm not using Node.js because I'm creating a web server, although I might be doing that at some point in another project. I'm using Node just essentially as like a command line utility to run the test. Because there are Node packages, collections of code and libraries to allow you to do testing through Node. And the one that I want to use is something called Jest. And I'll be perfectly honest, the reason why I'm using Jest is because I asked a whole bunch of people who seem to know about this stuff, what should I use? And they said Jest. Now, I believe P5 uses Mocha. Type in the comments your favorite testing framework, go nuts. But Jest is an open source project from Facebook, open source, that I believe is generally paired with React. Now again, I'm not doing React. I know less about React than I know about continuous integration. But I'm going to use Jest because it's pretty simple and I liked it, I looked at it, it's fine. So that's what I need. So what I'm going to need to do is somehow configure my Node project to be able to run a command, something like npm or wait, hold on. What do I write? you say npm start or node start? I think it's npm. I forgot how I do this. Right, when you make a little command in Node, like in the package.json, and then what are you going to run for start, what are you going to run for test? You say, then when you type it in the console, you say npm test, right? Somebody will tell me. npm start, OK. OK. People in the chat are saying, I understand nothing. Sorry. I'll try to figure out what you need to know to do this, but OK. So that I can write furniture being wheeled by in the hallway. So that I can write npm test. I want to run this command. It's going to do a whole bunch of stuff, and it's either going to say something like success or failure. And hopefully, if it's failure, it's going to give me a report. So this is the idea of testing. Now, while I'm here in the kind of overall landscape of this, let me make a little map here. I got to erase this. So let's think about where everything lives. Because how does GitHub play a role in this, and how does CircleCI or continuous integration play a role in this? So number one, I have on my laptop, which is my local client computer where I'm doing the development, I have sketch.js. I also have my whole Node project, which is really just, by the way, a package.json file and some other stuff. What I could do is I could push this repository. I'll use the idea of a cloud, even though it's really just an underground bunker, of course, as we know. I could push this repository to GitHub. So I could have it saved on GitHub. And the nice thing about that is lots of other people could start to pull it and then make changes or propose changes through pull requests. So where do I run the tests? On the one hand, so these are lots of other little client computers. On the one hand, I could change my code and run my tests locally. And then I know, like, my tests run, great, I'm going to push to GitHub. Other people could clone the repository, make changes, run the tests themselves, and feel confident and push to the repository. But wouldn't it be nice if GitHub could run the tests for me? Anytime that I try to push code there, it's going to say, like, let me test that first. I'll tell you if it's OK. It can't. GitHub does not have that as a server. You can't execute code on GitHub. You can host your projects there. You can even web host client-side JavaScript programs there. But you need something else. You need a continuous integration service. And that is where something like CircleCI comes in. So I don't know what I'm drawing here, but CircleCI is another thing that lives in the cloud-shaped underground bunker. And what CircleCI does is it can be a service. It can be linked as a service to your particular GitHub account. So you sign up for a CircleCI account in the same way that you sign up for a GitHub account. CircleCI has a good free tier, which you can do just about everything that I'm showing you in this video. For small projects and small teams, you can absolutely use it. And so what you can do is you can say, hey, anytime I push or anytime I commit or do a pull request, please go and open a little instance of a server on CircleCI to run a bunch of Node stuff to check the tests and report back. So this is the process. And so what I'm going to show you as in the next video, I'm going to actually just make an entirely simple, basic example of one little JavaScript program with one test and continuous integration. I'm going to make it so that if you, the viewer watching right now, you can submit a pull request, but I, as the administrator of the repository, will not be allowed to merge it unless the tests that I've written for that project pass. So that's the basic gist of it. I'm sure there are going to be some questions and things, and I will return in a moment in the next video to start writing what I need in package.json, what I need in sketch.js, what did I need in a test file, and all the other things that I'm forgetting to mention right now. OK. So I see that there is a super chat message. which I can't see, but thank you to the super chat. People are saying that this is confusing, which is reasonable. So before I keep going, let me see if there are any questions, and let me understand. Let me ask the question. If you are somebody who knows a little bit about JavaScript programming, maybe a little bit about GitHub and a little bit about Node, but have not done unit testing or continuous integration before, did that make sense to you? And I'm looking at both the Slack channel for the patrons and the YouTube channel, YouTube chat. Personally, I thought that made sense. Okay, yes. It did make sense to me. Okay, no, not really. Yes, plus, yes, but pretty good. Okay, no, yes, fully. All right, so, I'm only doing my best here. I do think this is a tricky topic. Hopefully I introduced the idea pretty well. And what I'm going to do is keep going. Anybody from CircleCI watching? I tweeted the link. That did make sense, and I'm exactly what you described, says Cameron in the chat. All right. Now, let me just check. I want to check my messages because CircleCI was going to make a special link. I'm not going to make any money off this link or anything. It's just a link for them to track their statistics. But I don't see that yet. So that will just get that'll be like a graphical overlay at some point when these get finished. Okay. Let me go back to the chat. Let me check the time, 11:40. Oh, good. And actually, somebody who says I do this for a living, said that the description was on point. So hopefully I didn't actually even say anything horribly incorrect. Okay, so let me open up, let me get to Jest. And so I have this, I have this. All right. And I can get rid of the snakes and ladders, and I am here. Okay. I can close this. So I think what I'm going to do, all right, okay. Sorry, I'm thinking about things. There's going to be a lot of waiting music as we install node packages and things. So I'm just practicing my waiting dance. All right. Simon asks, how do you link CircleCI to GitHub? Just wait. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. All right, you've returned perhaps from somewhere else, or I don't know, some weird machine learning algorithm sent you here. If you haven't watched my previous video, which introduces the idea of unit testing and continuous integration, I would recommend that you do. This tutorial is sponsored by CircleCI. Link to find out more. Right here, maybe? I don't know. I don't know how this magical post-production stuff works. But what I'm going to do in this video is I'm actually going to make exactly what I talked about here. I am going to make a sketch.js file that has a little bit of JavaScript code in it. I'm going to create a little node project so I can run a unit test. I'm going to push that project to GitHub, and I'm going to link it with CircleCI so that the tests will be run before I can merge any changes. Now, GitHub, merge, node, what do all these things mean? I will also provide some links to videos that you might want to watch before arriving here if you haven't used any of those tools before. But again, I'm just sort of plopping you right in the middle here. If you've never programmed before, maybe keep watching. Maybe something will be interesting here. But yeah, anyway, okay, back over here. All right, so what do I got? This is my coding train GitHub organization. And so what I want to do is I want to make a new repository. But I'm going to do it in a slightly different way. I'm not sure why, but I'm just going to. First, what I'm going to do is I have a nice folder here on my computer called Testing Test Test. Testing Test Test is the name of my new project because it's all about testing. And I'm going to make a file in it, and I'm just going to call it sketch.js. Just time out for a second. Is anybody hearing like a weird sound hum or anything? Because I'm hearing a hum, but I think it's just in the hallway or something. It went away. All right. So I'm going to make a file called sketch.js, and I'm going to, by the way, I'm going to use the testing framework that I'm going to use. In a moment, I'll show you something called Jest. I'm basically going to do the example that's in the Getting Started tutorial in Jest. Just to say, this is not my invention here. So I'm going to write a really simple function called sum. And what it's going to do is it's going to return the sum of two numbers. So again, I'm showing you a completely trivial example that's kind of silly and obvious, just to see what all the pieces are and how it works. And then hopefully what I'm going to do is after this, I'm actually going to add some unit tests to my neural network library thing that I've been working on in some other video tutorials. But I'll get to that later. So I'm just writing this. Now, what do I need to do? Well, in order to run the tests, I need to make a node project. So one way that I can do that is by the way, I'm in terminal and I'm in my directory testing test test. And I'm going to say npm init. That's a way to create a node project in that directory. Really all this is doing is making the package.json file, which is the configuration file for your node project. And again, some other node tutorials I have go through this a bit more. So I'm going to do this. And it's saying this utility will walk you through creating a package, blah, blah, blah. I want the name to be testing test test. It's version 1.0. It is all about testing test, testing test, test. And the entry point is sketch.js. Ooh, it even auto-detected that was in there. Test command. Ooh. The test command. Now, I don't have to do this here because I can always change it later, but I know what it's going to be. It's going to be jest. Jest is the command, like JavaScript test. Test, jest, anyway, jest. The Git repository, oh, I don't have one yet. Hit enter, keywords, testing, test. Then author is the coding train. License, MIT, I don't know. And then I'm going to say OK. And then now, if we look back in Atom, look at this. This new file has appeared, the package.json file. And that is the file that has all the configuration settings for my project. This is the main file. There's a test script I can run called Jest. It's all about testing. It's by the coding train, and it's licensed to MIT, et cetera, et cetera. OK, so now let's go to the Jest website. And I'm going to actually click on Get Started. So one thing that I can pull from here is if I want to run a test with Jest, I must install the node package Jest. And again, I will refer you to my video about Node Package Manager. And a lot of you who have experience with this will be telling me, why aren't you using Yarn? Because supposedly that's better for a variety of reasons that I'm sure I will hear about. But I'm still in the world of NPM. So I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to paste this into terminal. Now, I just want to mention I've shown in other tutorials what -- save means. That means I want to use this node package in my project. For example, I'm doing something on text analysis, so I want the node natural text analysis package. I'm going to say npm install save node natural. But save dev means I am using this, but only for the purpose of development. My project itself, when I publish and release it, is not doesn't need the Jest package. I need Jest just for developing it. So I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to put on my waiting music. Oh, we finished. OK. And now we're good. Now, just to double check this, look at this. Package.json now has dev dependencies. Jest version 22.1.4. So that -- save -dev, put it here in dev dependencies. So I now have my testing framework. Now, how do I write a test? Now, one of the things you might remember, sorry, pause for a second because I shouldn't have closed that window. One of the things you might remember from when I was looking at the P5 project is the source folder had all of your JavaScript code. And the test folder had all of your testing code. And they were the identical directory structures. For every directory or JavaScript file, there was a corresponding directory JavaScript file for testing. And this is a fine way of doing it. From what I understand, it can become a bit unwieldy after a while to kind of keep these duplicate directory structures. Jest provides a bunch of different ways of doing it through basically the keyword test. And there's a way of having a folder that has tests in it. But what I'm going to do here that's the easiest thing in the world is I'm just going to make a new file. And I'm going to call that file I can't remember if it's test.sketch.js or sketch.test.js. Pretty sure it's sketch.test.js. Let's try calling it that. And then let's go back to the getting started page and see what it says. So this example that, by the way, I'm doing exactly the same example. I'm creating, and it says to create a file called sum.test.js. So so I've created my file called sketch. So you can see Jest is going to know that this file is associated with this file. These are the tests for this file. So now I need to write those tests. Woo, boy. So I'm going to go and just keep following on with this. And I'm just going to be honest with you, copy paste the code from the example. And later I'll try to write my own tests in a more interesting way. And we can see this makes sense. There is a function I wrote called sum that receives two numbers and returns those two numbers added together. So you can see this is now the syntax, the API, the expect is a function, to be is a function. Those are functions that are part of Jest, right? Sum is my function, test is part of Jest. And this is written with a really nice, lovely ES6 arrow syntax. Just to like unpack this for a second, even though I like the way this is written, I will try to write tests this way too. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just break this out into multiple lines of code, just so you can see it in a slightly different way. And just give me a second while I do this in the most convoluted manner. So what this is saying here, now you can see, is like, I want to run this test. This is the name of my test. And the function to run the test is called SumTest, and it's down here. So this is just, it's exactly the same as this, but it's just written in a kind of more long-winded, less traditional, like less fancy, newer way of writing JavaScript. Okay. Sorry, sometimes out of the corner of my eye I see something going on in the chat. Yeah. Yeah. So these are good comments. All right. I'm going to just pause and stop to some of these comments. Simon writes, if you're not using P5, you should probably rename sketch.js to script.js or main.js. To be honest, I'm kind of writing sketch.js on purpose because, although that is a good point, I just kind of want this to live in a sort of informal way, but yes. And I'm missing the export piece. I haven't gotten to that yet because I want the test to not run first. I'm ahead of you, sort of. Okay. All right, so I think we're kind of ready. I've missed some stuff here, which I'll get to, but I want it to fail at least first. I have my JavaScript file, and I have my testing file. So there's no reason why I couldn't now, and in package.json, it says test Jest, and I have the dependency. Okay, let's try it. So now I'm here, I'm going to hit clear, and I am going to say, here we go, npm test. One failed. Now, I already know why it failed because I kind of did that on purpose because I thought it would be nice to like see the test fail. But we can actually see why did it fail. Constant sum equals require dot slash sum. Huh? What is that? Cannot find module dot sum. All right. So here's the thing. I'm making use of a feature of Node that is not necessary when just doing client-side programming, which is, client-side programming might have an HTML file, which just imports all of the JavaScript files I'm using. But Node, we need to do this more explicitly. And this is a little tricky here because maybe you could make the argument if I'm writing client-side code, I should run like tests in the browser. And there's a whole big world of like possibilities here. But I'm trying to stick to the very, very basics, the simplest possible scenario. And if we look here in sketch, we can see constant sum. Now, first of all, constant, I could say let sum, but this is good. It's not going to change, not going to be reassigned. Constant sum equals require.sum. Well, what this really should be in my case is .sketch. This is a way, require is saying I am going to require another JavaScript file / in the same directory called sketch.js. Then, you would think that would be better now, but I'm still missing a piece. I mean, I'm not even going to pretend that, because I know this is going to run. It didn't fail. Sum is not a function. So that's a different error message. The reason why it imported that file correctly, but I didn't export it. So this is one of the things I have to do. I have to say export.modules. No, module.exports. Module.exports equals sum. So there's a lot more to this in terms of how you can link and reference different files. But on a very basic level, this is saying this node module should export the sum function. That's the one I want to test. If I had multiple functions, I could export multiple functions. There's a variety of different ways I can do this. So now, here we go. Whoop. Woohoo! Okay, so the test passed. So this is basically it. Now I've kind of come to the end of the testing component. So all I've done so far is, all I've done so far is created this. I wrote my code, and it could have been a P5 project. The module thing is going to muck that up a little bit, so maybe I'll show you a little trick about that in a second. But all I've done is write this part. So the next things that I need to do is send this project up to GitHub and then figure out a way to allow anybody contributing to it to have the tests automatically run via CircleCI. Okay? So that's going to happen in the next video. All right. Okay, so any quick comments? Oops. Yeah. All right, all right. So I'm breaking this up into more smaller videos than I had thought, but I think that's fine. So now I'm in the sort of third little video. And don't really need anything more here. Okay. I'm ready for this. Okay. All right, any other questions, tests? All right. I'm not seeing any super important comments. I think people in the Patreon group are just discussing the various nuances of ES6 and what works where. All right. What about the machine learning series? You know, it takes me a lot to get up the courage to come here in this room and try to do some kind of gradient descent math implementation in JavaScript. So I'm hoping that I can do it today, or I'm committed to doing it. It's happening. Just when it will happen, I'm not sure. And Sumi asked, when Node starts supporting ES6 modules, are you going to redo all of your Node tutorials? Oh, definitely. Oh yes, for sure. 100%. All right. Let's see. Okay. All right. Welcome back. Now, in my this third video about unit testing in JavaScript with continuous integration, I have finally, where I left off in the last video, I reached the point where I wrote a simple test. And when I run the command npm test, the test runs and the test passes. So now what I want to do, should I have like broken the code? No. Sorry, come back, let me start over. It's fine. Hello again, I'm back. In my previous video, in this series about unit testing and continuous integration, I got all the way up to the point where I wrote the test, and I ran the test through npm test, and then the test passed. Now, this video series is sponsored by CircleCI. Link to find out more about CircleCI right here, because the goal that I have with this series is to show that all I've done so far is this piece. Once I've written my test locally using Node for some JavaScript thing that I'm working on, I want to put that code up on GitHub and integrate it with CircleCI so that the test that I could run locally will run automatically here. Now, I still might want to, it's still a good practice to run the test locally. Like, why push something to GitHub that I know isn't going to work? I might as well test it. But the point is, if I'm collaborating with lots of other people, somebody might forget to run the test, not know how to run the test. And this is going to make hopefully the open source contribution process a bit friendlier and instill confidence and happiness in the open source contributor. I hope it does that. That's all I would like in life. Okay, happiness and confidence. Go. You know, maybe 30% of one of those. Anyway. So here we are. So how am I going to do this now? You might not be aware of this, but I don't need GitHub at all if I just want to use version control in Git. I can just use version control in Git right here with terminal on my computer. And just like I said, npm init to create a node project, package.json file, I'm going to say git init. I think that's right. That's nice, you know. Initialized empty GitHub repository in testing/.git. Now, one thing that I definitely want to do here is I want to create a new file called .gitignore. Now, this is a bit of an aside, but it is sort of important. Gitignore file is a file where I can put names of things that I don't want to be part of the repository when I push it up to GitHub. Like might need those files locally, so something that had passwords in it or secret API keys, those would be things that I don't want to push up to GitHub. But in this case, I actually just don't want to send up the node modules. Like, modules. Like in package.json, I'm using this dev dependency jest to run the tests. And if I go into node modules, it's like a huge amount of folders and files. Those things are not my code. It's not in there. Those will get installed separately whenever I put it somewhere else on the server. So I really don't want those things to be committed. I also might as well say, because I'm on this ridiculous Macintosh machine, which makes these .ds store files, which by the way are my initials, ds, which kind of freaks me out. Like, is this all of these computers all about like my store in some weird way? Anyway, I don't know. I'm a little freaked out. And then, I don't know. I don't know what this, I forgot what this package.lock file is. I'm just going to ignore that too. So I don't want these files. And now I can say git status to sort of see what's going on. And we can see, aha, these are the untracked files. These are the files that are part of my GitHub repository. So I am now going to say git add dot, because I want to add everything. Then I'm going to say git commit starting a new project about testing with tests and also more tests. Okay, so I commit that, and then I say git push origin master, right? Boom, boom, boom. Wow, of course I can't say git push origin master. I just made this nice Git repository on my computer. It doesn't know where master is, origin, any of this stuff. So in order for me to do that, I need to create the repository on GitHub. So I'm on GitHub, I'm logged in to my Daniel Schiefman account, but I'm going to create a new repository. And this repository is going to be called testing, test, test. It is all about testing with tests, also tests. And then I'm not going to do this initialized repository of the README. I don't need the gitignore because I did that myself. And I want to, owner. I want to put this, now this doesn't really matter so much to you, but I'm going to put this in the coding train organization to make it easier for you to find, perhaps, rather than in my own account. And then I'm going to say create repository. And the nice thing about this is it's giving me this command. I kind of did this stuff already, like I created the repository locally on my computer. Usually, by the way, in my other videos, I just make the repository on GitHub, and then it's empty, and I clone it to my computer to add stuff. But I'm just showing you a different way of doing this. Like I made it already. Now I'm going to link it up with GitHub. So I can just grab this command right here, and I'll paste it into here so you can see it. So the idea here is that I'm saying, hey, remote. I want to add a remote repository for this repository on my computer, remote location for this repository. I'm going to call it origin, and this is its URL. git@github.com:coding train testing test test test. Now, I have this computer already set up with like special keys to be logged in and all that sort of thing. That's a whole separate topic. But if you have that, I can make a video about that, I suppose, if I need to. But so you might have some permissions issues if you haven't set that up yet. Okay, here we go. Oh, so that looks like it did that. And now I should be able to say git push origin master. Okay, that was fast. Didn't I? To finish before I could even get the waiting music on. So there it is. Now it's there. I can go back to GitHub. I can hit refresh, and we can see all the code is there now. You know what? It's really a good idea to have a README, and I agree. So I'm going to use this nice little button that says Add a README, and I should put more in the README, which I will do later. But I'm just going to commit directly to the master branch. I committed directly to the master branch. I do that all the time with every project, but apparently there are other ways of working. So I'm actually going to make it. The next step is I'm not going to be allowed to do that anymore. I can't just commit stuff directly to the master branch, the sort of published, finished version, without running those tests first. So the README is there. Now, so where are we? If I look back at my diagram, we have now checked off this much. We have now pushed it to GitHub, so we've checked off this much. And anybody watching this, most of you are probably watching this as a recorded video tutorial, but I'm actually doing this live at the moment. So not yet, but in a moment, you can start submitting your pull requests to this repository, because I'm going to, and please be nice about it, and be on your best behavior. And I am going to, I probably shouldn't have said that. I am going to, your pull requests test will be run on them. All right. So I need to link this now to why I'm here in the first place, CircleCI. So CircleCI is a company that provides as a service continuous integration. And how do I get that? I'm going to go to Go To App. So I'm at CircleCI.com. You can start by going to this URL. And I'm going to go to app. Now, I'm already logged in, so let me actually log out, because I think this will be useful. So you probably want to do sign up. Let's just click that for a second. And sign up with GitHub. That's what I did. I think I could probably just log in since I already have an account. But so I'm going to go to log in, and I'm going to just click log in with GitHub. So both should work just fine. I log in, and now I am in my CircleCI dashboard. Interestingly enough, I have no projects. I'm going to go over here to projects, and it says Coding Train has no projects building on CircleCI. That's because I don't actually know anything about this or do this. I just tried to learn it this week and make a video tutorial about it. But I'm going to more in the future. I'm very excited about it. So what I want to do is I want to add a project. I want to add a project, and then, no, this is, oh, there it is, testing, test, test. Huh, that's what I want to add. Now, I should go back over to, oh, it figured out already. So I could have gone to other, like I'm a member of the ITP NYU organization, which is where I teach, the Processing Foundation. There's me. So but luckily, I didn't realize this. It's already defaulting to Coding Train. So if you don't see the project that you're looking for here, the GitHub repository, it could be because you're actually not in the correct organization or account. But I am. So I'm going to go to testing, test, test. I'm going to hit setup project. Now, I want to use the 2.0 version of CircleCI because it's new. It says new there, and I hear it's great. Oh, it has something called Docker. So this is another little piece that I got to put into this puzzle. What is this Docker thing? We'll talk about that in a second. Come back over here. All right. And I'm going to pick my language. I am using Node. Oh, beautiful. Wow. Did it just like know that already because of the code that's in there? It probably did. And then it's going to give me some instructions. Create a folder named CircleCI and add the file config.yml. So this is what you need to do. CircleCI can see your GitHub repository because you've integrated them, but it doesn't know what to do. Like what, am I supposed to run a test? Like what is it you want me to do? So in order to tell it, I'm going to go back to my repository. I'm going to create, oops, not a new file. Shoot. I'm going to create a new folder. This folder has to be called .circleci. And inside that folder, I need a file called config.yml. So that YML is a format, much like XML or JSON, and it is, I believe, called YAML. So now, what I could do actually is just like, there's a sample. So CircleCI is nice enough to provide me with a sample. I'm just going to use that sample, but I'm actually going to simplify it after I use it. So I'm going to copy it to clipboard, and I'm going to paste it in here, and I am going to I'm going to delete a bunch of stuff. Okay, I'm going to do this. Okay, I think I've got what I want. So I made, I'll try to return back to that file at some point to look at some of the other pieces there. But look, this is the configuration file. It's saying timeout. Oh, git pull the readme, yeah. Oh, I do want the package.lock. Why do I want the package.lock? Okay. And YAML. Okay, all right. Will it be uploaded as a later? Okay, sorry. All right, so I'm waiting for output. I'll have to correct that. I just thought, that looks like a file I don't want. It's basically metadata. You'll be fine with that. All right, I will add it back in. Okay, so this is the YAML format that is giving, much like package.json, has all the configuration information for my node project. Config.yml has all the configuration information for CircleCI. And these are the things that I want to do. The jobs that I want to do is I want to build my project, and I want to build it using this image with Docker. What is that image? So this is what's exciting. Docker is not something that I've used at all in any tutorial before, but Docker is, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong here, but Docker provides a way of having this like self-contained environment that has nothing external set up yet, right? So I can say like, hey, this is this clean new environment. It's going to install Node, install the packages, run the code from scratch. So in other words, if by accident a package is installed, but I don't have it in my configuration file, and I wasn't using something like Docker, I could not realize that my code's actually broken, but it kind of runs by accident over here for some arbitrary reason. So Docker is a way of saying, like, let me start with this Docker image, this environment, standalone environment, and the one that I'm using is, I need Node. And maybe what I should do probably is if I go onto my back to terminal, if I say node-v, I'm using 8.9.0. So maybe I would say like, hey, why don't you give me 8.9. Was it 0 or was it 10? Yeah, 0. So I think that'll be fine. But you might want to, that's another thing you do, which version of Node are you using? And then, in order to know that my code works, I just need to run npm install, because I need to get all those packages. And I need to run npm test. And this, by the way, is going to make it run very, very slow, because npm install takes a while to install lots of packages, and I have to install fresh every single time CircleCI runs it. And there's ways of caching it, and probably a lot of that has to do with what I deleted out of there. We can come back to that later. But I want you to just see this is the very, very basic idea. And working directory. Should this be testing, test, test? Not repo, right? Or is that like a default thing? I don't know. I just don't use Yarn yet because I'm slow. I get to I started talking about ES6 like 4 years after it came out. So I'm waiting for somebody maybe to tell me if I need to. Default project, where project is a literal string, not the name of your specific project. Processes run during the job can use the Circle working directory environment variable. Paths written into your YAML configuration file will not be expanded. If your store test results.path is Circle working directory -test. I'm pretty sure that's going to work if I leave it that way, because when I was trying this out earlier this week, I never changed it, and I never had a problem. But I don't know if that's correct or not. Not required, apparently. All right. Okay, so maybe it's actually unnecessary. All right. I should also point out that this working directory I think is actually unnecessary for a very basic example, but if you need to, because it's going to probably just default to my root project directory, but if I need to be specific about directories, I could use that potentially. Okay, so let's leave that there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say git status. Oh, and by the way, somebody in the chat told me that it's actually probably a good idea to have the package.lock file because it has some important metadata in it. So let me put that back while I'm doing this. And I'm going to say git status. And I'm going to say git add everything, git commit, adding CircleCI and package lock.json for no good reason. I'm going to do that. OK, now I'm going to say git push origin. Rejected. Oh, well, so why did that happen? So this actually happened. I was excited for things to get rejected later, but the reason why this happened now is I forgot that I added this README file on GitHub, so my local repository doesn't have that change yet, so I better pull that README file. And now, and it put me into some text editor, I just hit colon return like instinctively. And I'm going to now say git push origin master. All right, so now I have sent everything up to GitHub. So what do I have now? I've done this, I've sent it up to GitHub, and in theory, I'm like linked somehow with CircleCI. Huh. Let's see, what else do I need to do? There's a bunch of steps I want to do, but I'm just curious, what else do I need to do, actually, technically speaking? So if I go back here, oh, well, I want to say start building. So I might be ready now. Did I follow all these steps? I updated the YAML file. I pushed the change to GitHub. And now I can click start building. So I'm going to do that. Oh my goodness. Ooh, it's running. It ran npm install ran test. Oh. No such file or directory. OK, so maybe I needed, so maybe I needed that, I think I needed that, so it couldn't find my files because I'm kind of, as I made a silly mistake in trying to make this simpler, I think I actually really did need this. All right, I think I should be back. I didn't actually check the audio or check the monitor or anything, so I'm going to wait and see if everyone's saying things are OK. One thing, those of you watching who are in the Patreon group in the Slack channel, just for me, it's a little bit helpful if you post something and it has like a big preview thing. I have this screen like zoomed in so I can read the chat from a little further away, and it just like takes up my view and I can't see anything. So if you post something, delete that. All right, so I think I'm back. Ugh. So I don't know, when did I crash? I mean, I'm just going to go. Oh, so in other words, working directory should just be this? Is that what it should be? I should remove repo. Is this the correct? I mean, I kind of want to run it, but I don't want to. After saying the word, try to make things simpler. Okay, I'll just kind of. And good thing the camera shut off. I don't think you should do that. Do what? Now, one other thing you should be aware, if you write me messages, I generally don't have any idea what they're referring to because you guys are like 20 seconds or 30 seconds different than me. So sometimes I can figure it out, but me, I am to me just right. I don't think you should do that. The tilde slash. So what do I write here? Testing, test, test? Because I made a silly mistake, it's trying to make it simpler. Okay. Oh, maybe I haven't. No, the project is there. it wouldn't have run npm install or npm test if it wasn't there. Circle working directory. Yes, but it clearly had to. There's no way it would know to run this npm install and npm test. Unless it just read the package.json file without pulling it. I did this earlier this week, and I didn't need. I think actually, to be honest with you, let me. It's fine. I was trying to like not. Let me just put this back to what it was, just to prove my little silly point here. I'm pretty sure. I'm not going to keep going because I can actually. Let me show you. This is my working project. That I did earlier this week. It's in Shiftman. It's called CircleCI test. And in here, oh, I did that. That's what I did. CircleCI app. But it's not called that even, which is so weird. That's weird. I don't know. Oh, checkout. I forgot checkout. That is what I think I forgot. I deleted it by accident. Yep. All right, so that's probably it. Okay, so I missed, the reason why it failed is I missed a really important step here in my trying to make that file simpler. I missed a very important step, which is that I need to check out. So what the first thing I need to do is check out the current code from the repository before I run npm install and npm test. So it ran those things, because that's what's written here, but it didn't actually grab the repository from GitHub. So now let's try this one more time. So what I should be able to do is I should be able to say git status, just to check. Okay, the only thing I did was modify my config file. Git add, git commit, forgot the checkout step, and git push origin master. And now, if we go here, now it should, if I go back to here, it's actually running already. So it's automatically, anytime I push something to GitHub, it's already linked and it's running this. So I can go in here and wait. Yeah, you can see now it's, woo! It did it. So look at that. Adds 1 + 2 = 3, passed in 4 milliseconds, test suite, 1 pass, test, 1 pass, total time, ran all test suites. Oh, that was the wrong sound effect, but whatever, kind of works. All right, so this works. Wonderful, wonderful. Now, just for the sake of argument, let me, no. Let's now go and protect ourselves. Let's do this last, let's do this last step. So I do have the test running on CircleCI, but what I want to do now is I want on GitHub, I want to say protect master. I want to make it so that you cannot push any code to master at all, and you cannot merge any code to master without the tests having run and passed first. So let's go do that. So that is something I have to do through the GitHub interface. So I go back to the project, and I'm going to go to settings, and I'm going to go to branches. And right here, what I want to do is under protected branches, I want to protect master. And I'm going to do a bunch of things. I'm going to click protect this branch. I'm going to say, I'm not going to require pull request reviews right now. That could be interesting. But I'm going to require status checks. And I want to make sure, look at this right down here, that my CircleCI status checks run. And then I also want to do include administrators. So even me, as the administrator of this project, cannot do anything without those tests running. So I'm going to hit Save Changes. I am going to put in my password. And now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a change in my code. I'm now going to work on my code. Oh, A plus B plus 42. That's definitely going to be a good change to my code. Yay! And now what I'm going to do is git add, git commit. I know a better way to add two numbers. And I'm going to say git push origin master. Aha, yes, good. Okay, so it says protected. It did not let me do that. Protected branch update failed. Required status check. So it did not do that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay. I'm going to say git push origin master colon. So what I could do is I could branch here on my computer and then create a new branch and move that, do the change there and push it. But this is a nice, easy way of doing it. Git push origin master colon live coding train. So this is a new branch that I'm calling live coding train. I want that to be the branch on GitHub. And I'm going to take my master branch from my locally self and push it up to GitHub. And I'm going to do this. And so that had no problem having me do. Then I'm going to go here. Look at this. Already, less than a minute ago, it says, you recently pushed branches live coding train less than a minute ago. Let me compare and pull request. So I know a better way to add two numbers. Seriously, I really do. It involves the number 42. So, obviously, good practice in writing thoughtful messages and everything in your pull request. I'm being silly here. I'm going to hit create pull requests. And now look at this. It already ran. Wow, it had already ran the test. I took so long talking and like blah, blah, blah. It actually probably ran the test even before I did the pull request. So look at this. It required the test failed. And so this is disabled. I cannot merge this pull request. I can press this button as much as I want, but the test has failed. And I can even go under here under details. I can probably, I can do this. It's going to take me directly to CircleCI. And I can look that it expected the number 3, but received the number 45. So I don't think that if you click on that under more details, you would be able to get here. But because me, as the administrator and the owner of this CircleCI account, I can see, well, what actually caused this pull request to fail. So now I realize it was the number 42. I can say git add, git commit, fixing the adding numbers thing. And then I can say git push origin master, what did I call it? Live coding train. So I'm going to push this change that I made locally on my master to coding train. And we should see now live in the page. Come on, get there quick. Shoot, where is it? Oh, it's running the checks again. Come on, do the test. So one pending check, one pending check. I added some new commits. You can see my new commit here. It's there. Please work, please work, please work, please work, please work, please work, please work. Do I need to refresh the page? I could check. I could look on CircleCI. So now all the checks have passed. This branch has no conflicts. I can show all checks. I can see it there. I can click on the details. But now I can simply merge this pull request. And it is now done. So that's really it. OK, time out for a second. Now, anybody, I was afraid of doing things live. Anybody in the patron Slack group, would you mind going and checking what pull requests are there and make sure that I'm not like there's not some like, inappropriate images or text in the pull requests? I mean, I don't mind if it comes up on the live so much. I can always edit it out for the video later. But since I have people watching, none at the moment. OK, thank you. So all right. So now, if you were watching this as a recorded video, I took a little break there. And there are a couple pull requests. Oh, those are just mine. Wait, there are no pull requests. There's an issue. Wait, hold on. Hi, YouTube. All right, who wants to make a pull request? All right. None at the moment. Not none, no inappropriate ones, just no pull requests. All right, I missed a bunch of things in the YouTube chat. People are maybe asked some interesting questions. You know, I'm being overly cautious, which is probably unnecessary, but you know, it's a scary world out there, folks. Maybe nobody wants to do a pull request. It's fine if your tests fail. I'm okay with that. All right, I'm going to close this issue. Thank you. Hello, YouTube, to H. Roland. Thank you for writing a perfectly appropriate GitHub issue. There was a self-closed one. Oh, really? Oh. Why did this one get closed? I love that. All right, maybe I should skip the whole like a live pull request came in thing. So people are watching actually not knowing how to do this. A way that you could do this is actually just on this page under sketch.js, click this edit button. And like if you added something in here, like if you made it return A times B, then down here, you should have an option. You should have an option. Like, look at this. First of all, you can't commit this to master because it's protected, which is great. You should have an option to create a new branch in your own fork. It should let you do that. So you can actually do this through the GitHub interface. Oh, okay. Fix add. All right, let's take a look at this one. Looks pretty good. All right, great. All right, there was a little edit point there while I was waiting in the live version of this. Somebody on the internet, SAADQ, 27 seconds ago, added a pull request to fix the add function. I can go here under Files Changed and see that, aha, this is the code that was changed. Return A plus B. It was changed to A minus B. So now I'm going to merge this wonderful pull request. Whoops. Oh, there's a bunch of them that have come in. And we're going to see waiting for status to report. So this one, it hasn't finished running the test yet. Let's go look at some of these other ones. Added plus C. Oh, interesting. Added plus C. Oh, interesting. That's a good one. Let's check these tests. So it's taking a while to run these tests. Whoops. Sorry, hold on. So many pull requests all of a sudden. Okay, stop it with the pull requests. We're good. All right, I'm sorry, Mathieu. Let's go back there. All right. There was a little edit point there while I waited to let people from the community who are watching this live, except for this moment in time right now, are not watching this live. And there are some pull requests here. So we can see here, by the way, some of this yellow means the status of the test is waiting to be reported. And this means the test ran and test passed. So let's look at this. Me, I am, so me. Let's look at what's been changed. So this, first of all, interestingly enough, this is some nice things we can learn about better programming than I do here, that a product function was added to return the product of A and B, and then module.exports was made into an object so you can get the sum, which is the sum function, or the product, which is the product function. And then look at this. Constant sum comma product equals require sketch. So this is a nice way of importing multiple functions. And we have here then a test of that. So let's actually, let's run this pull request. I mean, we don't need to run this pull request. Let's merge it. Looks great. So I'm going to say all checks have passed. Looks great. So I'm going to comment, and I'm going to merge, and then I can go back to my pull request page. we could see evil pull request. So I'm not going to keep going through all these. I'd be interesting to see. It's very slow to run all of them because so many pull requests came in all at once, which is probably unlikely in a real scenario. But I also am having it has to run npm install every single time. And there is a way that that can be cached if you look at the sort of full sample config.yml file. All right, so I will review all these later and merge them. So what's left to do? I think I've shown you the full picture. I'm going to do one other video where I almost in a way do this again, but I'm going to set this up for a real open source project that I'm developing, and I'm going to just add maybe one test to it, and then I'm going to ask the community to contribute more tests to it. So I'll do that in the next video because as it relates to the neural network machine learning project that I'm working on. Oh, evil pull request. I'm being told evil pull request is a good example. So, it's out of date now. So no, I'm not going to get into this. I feel like I'm interested, but I feel like I was just showing the one thing from IMSOME was fine. And it's interesting that these aren't running. And I guess I'm just curious here, what's in the queue? So is there anything that, how do I see the queue? Insights, projects, my builds, all builds, settings. Is there a reason why some of these is not building on pull requests? Why is that? What did I do wrong? Well, now that I can imagine that if it's do you think it's because, let's try one of these. I wonder if it's because the branch went out of date. So now, let me look at the builds. No. Oh, no. I need to click all builds at CircleCI. Okay, hold on. No, I'm there. Is there a configuration thing that I need to say? Switching 100 minutes. Maybe I missed did I miss a setting here? No. That's all been working already. Options. Let me go back to the protected branches thing. I think I've got everything. So why? Anybody know? Oh, all branches on the left side. All branches on the left side. No. Oh, let me check my email, because I do get email notifications. Uh-oh, this build did not succeed. No. Checking my notifications, 12:25 p.m. That's the last time my tests have been fixed. Branch selection. You just changed the master branch. Let me go back. So what have I missed? Yeah, why did it build MiIMSOMe is a member of the organization. So MiIMSOMe has permissions on coding training the organization. Maybe I need to, there's some sort of collaborators and teams. Has default permission running to every member of the organization? No. So there must be some kind of allow merge commits, allow GitHub pages, no. There's got to be some waiting for set. The first link seems to help. Okay, hold on. Let me look at this. Okay, pull requests. Let me look at just like this first one. One expected check, waiting. All required status checks. Where's this link that might be helpful? My CircleCI is protected. Switch it off and on again. Switch what off and on again? Project overview. Org settings. Oops. Build environment, adjust parallels, environment, advanced settings. Webhook notifications, test commands, advanced settings. Only build pull requests, no. Auto cancel redundant builds, no. Build forked pull requests, there we go. This must be it. Oh, somebody just found it. I have that checked, Alka, already. I'm pretty sure it's this. Run builds for pull requests from forks. So this, got it. And so MiIMSOMe, you must have not made a fork. You just made a branch in the repo, yes? Yeah, this is it. Okay, so this is good to know. Okay. So this is great that I discovered this. Okay, I took another break, and boy, have the pull requests been coming in. It's kind of amazing. But you'll notice every single one of these is waiting, waiting, waiting. Strangely, I just showed you how I merged MiIMSOMes. Well, I forgot that MiIMSOMe is a member of the Coding Train organization. So MiIMSOMe was able to make a branch within testing test itself rather than a fork of testing test. That's a little bit of a subtle distinction here, but all of you watching all of these have made your own fork and then submitted the pull request from there. And there's actually a setting inside, if I'm on my testing test project and I go here to settings and I go to advanced settings, build forked pull requests. This is what I need to click to on. So in this sense, if you're working in a private repo or a repo where only people with some sort of permissions are making changes, but if you're accepting contributions from the community at large, you're going to want to have this be on. So I'm going to click this as on. I think it'll dynamically save. Let's see. Let's see if I refresh here. if it starts running some of these status checks. Pause for a second. So let's go back to settings. Let's just make sure that's stuck. Now, do I have to do something to trigger it to rerun? It should figure it out, right? Because somebody can make a new pull request now. Oops. Am I at the bottom here? No. Ah! Computers are so hard. Oh, look, I just got a notification that the coding train is live. I'm stuck. Oh, there, okay. Go to GitHub branch settings. Don't I have to hit the rebuild button? Possibly. Where's that button? Oh, it did a new one. You can see it's doing a new one. So where do I... Yeah, it's queuing them in. The question is, how do I have it do... Yeah. Update branch, okay. Yeah, it's starting to do them now. Okay, we can see that these tests are now running. We can see evil pull request somehow passed the test. I think some of them probably won't run until, let's see, required, let's, I think, and we can go and look in CircleCI, and we can see here's a queue of all the different tests that are running. This one's running now, pull request number 22, failed, rebuild, I could rebuild that one. So we can see now I should be able to look through all of my pull requests, and we can see, yeah, it's just running them in some order. It's gonna take a while to run all of them. Okay, great. So I think I finished this video. I think I already finished it earlier, and then I came back and kept going. But so hopefully you've seen all the basics now, right? You've seen how it is you can write some JavaScript code, how it is you can make a node project that can run some tests for you using Jest. You can push all your code to GitHub, integrate it with CircleCI so that anytime somebody makes a pull request to your project, which is protected, you run the test, and you can see where those tests passed before you merge the code. All right, so I want to try to do another video where I'll look at a slightly more real-world scenario where I'm going to push my matrix math library to GitHub and put all this together and then solicit contributions for tests and the like from the community. Okay, thanks for watching. The pull requester has to do update manually, not the owner. Okay, great. Mathieu, you still watching by any chance? Is that end going to be workable? I kept stopping and starting with all this weird pull request stuff, but I think you could probably pull some stuff out of that. All right, it's 12:45. So by the way, one of the things that I want to do, I don't know if I'll have time for it today, is I wanted to show how you can just run arbitrary node code. But every time this runs, so I could write a bot that tweets every time somebody's submitted a pull request and whether the test passed or not. So I was thinking of doing that, but that I think, so maybe I'll do that as a coding challenge. Kingfoot asked, hey Dan, can you discuss more about when and why someone would consider starting their unit tests? I think smaller single user projects like P5 minigames don't require this kind of testing in general. I agree. I think that if you're collaborating, and especially if you're making a library, having tests is a really useful thing. It makes, what I'm learning, what I've come to more recently as a conclusion is that it actually makes contributing to the project friendlier than not having tests. So that's what I would say. I mean, if I were teaching an intro programming class and asking people to do an assignment each week, I wouldn't be telling them to also write unit tests for your P5 sketches. And you notice that I haven't done one. There's user testing, but I think that large projects, it's also really tricky if it's graphics. Like, are you going to like start checking pixels? Like, spinning up a phantom browser? So these are good, complicated questions. Okay, were you or will you talk about TDD? I kind of was, right? Didn't I talk about that? So let's do the matrix library. So first, what I want to do is I need to go to Twitter. And I'm going to look for a username on Twitter with like Carla submitted unit tests. I'm going to look at this. Schiffman, Carla. Nope. Is this it? Yes. Wonderful. Okay. So if I search Twitter for this user and Schiffman, there we go. Okay. Now I need to grab let me do this as not part of the video. Let me just get the neural network code up on GitHub. NN coding train. Yeah, I'm doing some nonsense crazy stuff here because I was in the middle of it. Let's go to new repository, neural network, toy neural network, JS. I don't know, is this a good name for the library? Toy neural network JS? I think so. Any better ideas? Oh, yeah, I talked a little bit about test-driven development, but you're right, I didn't really. But I can always change the name of the repository later. Neural network JavaScript library for coding train tutorials. And I'm going to create this repository. This is all I need. Git remote git init, git remote add origin there, git status, Atom. Let's do a git ignore and node modules. I think I'm going to skip all the steps that I previously have done. npm init, package name toy neural network, version 0.01, toy neural network JavaScript library for coding train tutorials. Entry point is none, whatever. Test command is going to be jest. And that's the GitHub repository, yep. Oh, I wanted that to be in coding train, shoot. So I have to fix that. Neural network machine learning, education, JavaScript, coding, train, community, license, MIT, yes. So one thing I need to do, by the way, is I forgot, and let me actually do this. Settings, transfer ownership. This is toy neural network JS, and I'm going to transfer this to coding train. I understand, transfer. Team access, let's just not worry about that right now. And so now it's taking a few minutes, but I'm there. So the one thing I need to change is in package.json, this should be coding train as the URL for the Git website. And main should actually be like nothing. Just going to leave this as blank. Git remote remove origin, git remote add origin. Now it's this. Okay. So now let's add all the code. Add all the code. All right, we got to install npm install -- save - dev jest. Let's go to the jest website. Getting started. Yep, did I get that right? All right, so that's good. So now what I need to do is we're going to add, so if I say npm test, no tests found. All right, so this is interesting. Okay. So git status, git add, adding jest testing framework. Whoops. So now I have Carla's tweet. I have CircleCI. How do I get back to here? I want to just get to projects. Yeah, okay. I have here, refresh. Oh, I haven't pushed it. Okay, and I'm going to add a README, which at some point I want to have be better. I'm going to remember to pull the README now. Okay. All right, so I am now ready. I've got to finish up here in a minute, but so I'm going to write one test. I need to export the matrix library, write one test for one of these functions, and then run the test, integrate it with CircleCI, and then invite people to contribute more tests or also refactor the code with more efficient ways and see if the tests will run. Okay. Any thoughts before I begin? Problem is I don't know how to write tests. The only test in Jest that I actually know how to write is that let's look at the documentation. Is that is the one that was like the sum test. So how would I do it with an array? I should probably figure this out before I do it. Getting started using matchers, right? Object assignment. I could probably do this with arrays. To equal recursively checks every field of an object or array. Oh, okay. So I should be able to do this. I should be able to follow this. Okay, all right, we're just going to try. All right. Okay. Just looking into the chat, I'm gonna get started now. Apologies, I have a little bit of a cold. Blowing my nose is probably making a loud noise into the microphone. All right. Here we go. So this is the last thing I'm going to do, and then I'm going to take a break, and I'll come back later this afternoon. I hope. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of... I wanted to do more of the neural network stuff. I wanted to go back and do 2048 again. We'll see. We'll see what can happen. Okay. Sorry, my nose is really running, which it always does, but in particular today. So for now, this is going to be the final. I might do a coding challenge, which is like using continuous integration to tweet, but I'll have to save that for later. Okay. Energy, energy. Ah! All right, so here we are. I am in another video in my series about unit testing, test-driven development, and continuous integration. And I have another playlist where I'm building a simple neural network library in JavaScript to make some examples. This video is not about how the neural network library works or what a neural network is. You can go watch those videos for that. But what this video I'm going to do is I'm going to add tests to the library and then solicit contributions from the community to add more tests. And I'm going to have those tests run using CircleCI, which is the sponsor of this video. You can find out more about CircleCI here. And then we're gonna have learned something, because this is new to me. I have never, other than the contributions I've made to P5.js, really done a test-driven development workflow before, but I'm excited about it, and I think what's exciting about it is to make contributing to open source, to open more pathways, to make people feel more confident in being able to review pull requests, to submit pull requests, to be able to run those tests. And also, writing the tests is a way you can contribute to a project. Even if you don't know how neural networks work, you might be able to contribute to this project by helping write a single test for it. Okay, all that said, I've set up a bunch of things already. So I have this GitHub repository, toy neural network in JS. It's on GitHub. I have it locally. I have a package.json file, which has which assigns Jest. Jest is the testing framework, open source testing framework from Facebook that I'm going to use. That's pretty much all I need. And the dependencies are there. So I need to write a test. So the first thing, let me first mention, thank you to Carla De Beer on Twitter, who did this already. Kind of gave me the idea for this in a way. I set up a series of easy-to-use automated unit tests for the current version of your artificial neural network matrix library code. So here are a whole bunch of tests. Now, Carla used a framework called QUnit. So I'm going to click on her, tests here, and I'm going to look under unit tests. And what's useful about this is you can see Carla's doing something smart, which I'm not going to do, which is actually creating an HTML page to probably run the tests in the browser to see how they work. But we can look at this idea of testing to see if like matrix addition is working. So we can hopefully use exactly this test, but convert it to the syntax of jest and get it to run. Okay, I'm going to attempt to do that in this video. So what other pieces do I need? So this is the matrix library. The matrix library is a class called matrix that you can create matrix objects with, and you can multiply those matrices. You can add things to those matrices. It's a bunch of math code that I need in the neural network project. So with jest, something that I can do is I can create a new file, and I can call that file matrix.test.js. And this is where I'm going to write any tests that go along with matrix.js. And so let's go to the jest. Again, I don't really know what I'm doing, so this is going to be a bit of a struggle here. But I think what I would like to do is kind of use this. Let's try this. Test object assignment. Huh. So let's do this. So what I want to do, test matrix add scalar. So this is what I want to do here is say, let M be a new matrix that's, and let's use Carla's as a model here. New matrix that's 3 by 3. So I'm going to just follow this exactly. And I'm going to add this code right here. So this is the idea. I'm making a 3 by 3 matrix with these values in it. And then I'm going to add a scalar to it. And I'm going to say, let scalar 1 equal 5. Does she create a scalar? Oh, this is generic. So running the test connects, there's probably a way to like run it with a generic value. Oh, let scalar 1 equal 0, but it can be something else. I'm going to just have it be 5. Okay, now what I want is to expect A to equal, A.data to equal, so I have to think about this. Time out for a second. So I could do each row one at a time, which is silly. I could do each row one at a time. Is there a way for me to, yeah, I can just, all right, let me try it. Okay. Okay, so I know what, let me back up for a second. I'm sorry, let me just do this whole thing again. Sorry, let me go back a little bit. To equal recursively checks every field of an object and array. Okay, that's what I need. Sorry, let me go back. Okay, so, all right, so in my previous videos where I went through a lot of steps of this, I just used this to be function, right? Expect 2 plus 2 to be, which is basically 2 plus 2 equals 4. But there's actually a function in jest that I'm just learning about now called to equal, which will check like, oh, is this object equal to this object? It'll recursively go through and check all the properties of the objects or all the elements of an array. So this should be the code that I can start with. And if I paste this into my test file, now what I really am testing is adding number to matrix. And I'm going to go and grab Carla's code and just kind of grab this much of it at least. And I'm going to do this. And so what this is doing is saying, okay, make a 3 by 3 matrix, and these are all the numbers in the matrix, and add, and I'm going to, instead of having a variable right now, I'm going to just be simple about this, I'm going to just add 1. Let's just add 1. So the new matrix should be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I want to expect A to A.data, well, and I'll call this M for matrix, I think. m, 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 m to equal, and I should be able to now put in a two-dimensional array with the values in it, 2, 3, 4, comma, 3, 5, 6, 7, comma, 8, 9, 10. So this, I believe, is now the test. Right? Let's take a look at this all together. I could be doing something wrong here. But right, I want to create a matrix object, adding, and I'm going to say adding a scalar, that's the name of the test, to a matrix. I'm going to add the number 1 to it, and I'm going to check to make sure the matrix's data actually equals all of this. And I probably could have said expect m equal and then maybe done something like an object with data in it. Would that be better? I don't know. Well, let's do that. Let's try this. So just out of curiosity, let's try this to see if it works. Now, I'm not saying this is the best test. There's probably more ways than just to structure this, to have it be more generic. I need to make lots of tests. This is just one. But let's just see if this even runs. And I'm missing some important pieces here, clearly. So first thing I can do is just write npm test. And what it's going to do, it's going to find that file, but it says matrix is not defined. So I need to make sure I export matrix. And I say modules.export equals matrix. And then in matrix.test, I'm going to say constant matrix equals require dot slash matrix. So this should be exporting the matrix class and then importing it here. So now it should know what matrix is when I run that test. Running the test. Now it failed. Now, oh, modules.export. OK, I can never get anything right. It's module.exports. Can never remember that, apparently. Let's run the test one more time. Failed. Matrix is not defined. Oh, funny thing. Funny thing. Order is important. The matrix doesn't exist yet because I haven't defined the class. So this actually has to be at the bottom. Let's try this one more time. All right. So we got further. Oh, look at this. Okay. Interesting. So what's happened here? This, it wants those objects to really be equal to each other. And one thing that I didn't do is I didn't, this, I really should, no, why? Hold on. No, let me look at this. Okay, sorry. Look at this. It failed because this is what it got. It got those correct numbers, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but what it received also had columns and rows. And I forgot that in this case, my matrix objects, if I look at the constructor, have not only the data, but columns and rows. So I need to go back to my test and say expect. What do I really expect? It should have data. Columns is 3, and rows is also 3. And the order shouldn't matter here. The properties of an object are not ordered, but I'll put columns and rows first. And really, rows should be first. Just in terms of my mental thinking, it's always rows by columns. Okay, so this should, hopefully the test should pass, right? And this would be interesting to not have those be equal. Okay, so let's run this again. Let's run the test. And the test passed. Awesome. So we've written our first test. Now, have I done the best job ever in terms of optimal, thoughtful, test-driven development? No, but I've got to start. I've got an actual test here. If somebody were to try to refactor, if I were to try to refactor my add function and do it in a different way, and it didn't actually add the numbers up correctly, this would fail and I would know. But I don't want to do any more testing. What I want to do now, well, there's a couple things. There's one important detail that I've missed because this is right at the moment just client-side code only, but this require stuff and this module.export stuff is going to mess that up. But let me at least get this building on CircleCI. So this repository is already on GitHub here. And now I'm going to go to CircleCI, and I'm going to say add a project. And I want to add toy. Oh, why is it not showing up? Oh, there it is. I just had to refresh. I want to add the project toy neural network JS. I'm going to set up the project. I'm going to copy. As you might remember, if you watch the previous videos, I need to create a new folder called .circleci. And in that folder, I need to create a new file called config.yml. And then I can go here and copy to clipboard all of the setting stuff. Now, I'm going to leave more stuff in here this time. So I'm going to check, and I want to use the same version of Node that I'm using here, 8.9. So this is the version of Node that it should run the tests with. I'm going to leave this work. I don't think I need this working directory thing. That's optional. I definitely need to check out the code. Restore cache. Let's see if this helps speed it up. So this should be a thing where it saves a cache of previous dependencies that it's already installed, so it doesn't have to reinstall them every time it needs to run the test. Run is npm install. I'm using npm, not yarn. And then run the test is npm test. So I'm going to leave all of this here. And then I need to push this to GitHub. Git status, just make sure. Oh, I modified all this. I added the test. I modified matrix.js. I'm going to, oh, and look at this. I've got a problem here. I've got a typo. That's got to be CircleCI. The E key, anybody who watches my videos knows the E key on my keyboard only works about 75% of the time. So often misses it. So that should fix that. I'm going to say git status again. There's .circleci. I'm going to say git add git commit -m, adding unit tests with CircleCI. I'm going to push this to GitHub, and there it is. It's on GitHub. I'm going to go over here to GitHub just to make sure. I see circleci is here, and I should be able to say start building. So I'm going to click start building, and make sure this test runs. npm install is happening right now. npm install song. Oh. It's creating the cache. Ah! It's pipe failing. Oh, no, failed. Ah. So why did the test fail? Let's take a look. Cannot find module.matrix from matrix.test.js. Must be a path thing. Oh, no, it's not. I just made a silly mistake. A very silly mistake. It is kind of a path thing. It is a path thing. I made a silly mistake, which is that I was thinking capital M because it's a matrix class, and I want to reference it as capital M, but the file name is actually lowercase m. That file is called matrix.js. And on my Macintoshy computer thing, it didn't really care about that. It worked, but the CircleCI servers are obviously clearly case sensitive in terms of what they're running. So let's git add, git commit, fix uppercase issue. It's the worst description ever. Git push origin master. And I think it will auto trigger a rebuild. So I'm waiting to see if it does it automatically. Yep, it's running. Fix uppercase issue. Ah, shoot. Still running, still running. Oh, fixed. Check, check. So it's like, look, 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 it checked out the code, it restored the cache, it ran npm install, it saved the cache, and it ran npm test, and my test passed. Woohoo! So now I am going to make it a moment where all of you can now contribute and give me some better tests. So what I'm going to do here is there's a bunch of settings I need to configure. I need to go to settings, I'm going to go to branches, I'm going to protect master, protect this branch, require status checks. I want to make sure CircleCI is checked. And I'm also going to include myself. I don't want to be able to do anything. Even though I'm the administrator, I still have to have my tests pass. I'm going to do save changes. And then a last piece that I need to make sure I do, if I want contributions from the community, not just local branches for anyone who's a kind of a member access to that repository, I need to go to CircleCI, and I need to go to this particular project under Settings, Advanced Settings, right? So I went to, let me show you that again, because I'm doing it quickly. Like if I'm here, I want to click this settings icon. Then I want to go down to Advanced Settings. And I want to make sure, oh, you know what? This is now on. So interestingly enough, I wonder if that's a global setting for all your projects or if it's on a per project basis. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm sure. But I set it to on for a previous project. I do need to make sure this is on because I want to build it for forked pull requests. And let's take a moment. I'll come back in a minute and we'll see if there are any pull requests that I can actually merge right now. Oh no, I forgot something. I forgot something important. Okay, here's a sort of, this is just a weird nuance to exactly what I'm doing with this particular repository, but it's worth mentioning. This happens to be, and people can make pull requests while I'm talking about this. This happens to be a matrix. This matrix class is something that I'm using for client-side only code. But you'll notice that I added this module.exports. The browser's not going to know what that is. And in fact, if I were to now run a little web server to like check what my code's doing in the browser, I'm going to see this error message. Let me just refresh again. Module is not defined. So the module needs to be there. This module call needs to be there in order for me to run the tests via Node, but the module can't be there for when I'm running the code in the browser. Now, there are much more sophisticated ways around this with a much larger web app that you're working on in a build process. But for at least what I'm doing right now, let me fix this with, I don't know, you could call it kind of a hacky solution, but it's one that I figured out yesterday with some help. Thank you. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to say if type of, I can't actually say if module. It'd be nice if I could just say if module, right? If module exists, then do that. So that'll work for when Node is running the code for the tests, but it'll not work. This is kind of the idea of what I want to do. This won't actually work because it's still not defined to test if it exists. But I can say if type of module is not equal to undefined. So this should now get rid of the error. Oops. Hold on. I'm looking at the wrong test. I'm in the wrong project. Where? Oh, on CircleCI? Where was I? Where have I been in the wrong project? Oh, I was looking at the test settings. All right, let me go back to that. Okay, I was looking at the wrong project. All right. But first of all, I'll go back. Why is this not working? What did I do? What did I do yesterday? CircleCI test. In my sketch.js. If type of module does not equal undefined. That worked for me yesterday. Oh, I just must not have saved it. All right, let me go back. Yeah, I'm not saving it is what I'm doing. Oh, weird. Oh, whoops. Deleted it entirely. Okay. Sorry, everybody. At least you're all watching me to keep me in check here, because I wouldn't have realized that till later. All right. Oh, yeah. Quotes around undefined. That's the issue. Okay, sorry, thank you. Quotes around undefined, because it's a string. Okay, thank you. All right, back up for a second. Let's just go back to this thing here where I'm doing testing, test, settings. Yeah. Right. Right, thank you. All right. I need to add one, I need to do one more setting, which is very important. I'm going to go back to CircleCI. Look, I have these two projects. Testing, test was the build project I made in previous, in my previous video tutorials, where I did this a little bit slower step by step. And I want to check the settings for toy neural network JS. I want to go to advanced settings. And then I want to check, here's the really important one, build forked pull requests. I want to run the test for people not just from the coding train official organization who are kind of contributing to the project, who can make a branch within the repository, but people who are just from the community who have forked the repository and then are sending back a pull request. I want that. So I'm going to click that to on. That will live save. There might be something where you have to like go back and rebuild any pull request that was like submitted before I clicked that, but now going forward, they all should be fine. And so I'm pretty much done, except I forgot something important. So here's the thing. What I'm actually working on here is a client-side JavaScript project. At some point, I might want to make this a neural network library that could be a node module, and I could have a more elaborate, fancy build process to deal with all this. But right now, I'm just written these these tests just for this matrix.js file that lives as part of this web project. So this is actually where it's being deployed and used as part of a web page. The problem is I'm running a web server already. If I go and refresh that page, which I just did a second ago, now this is the error I'm going to get. Module is not defined. So while the test might run, because I've set up this export of matrix properly so that the test won't run, the client-side JavaScript knows nothing about node modules. And again, there are sophisticated and better ways to handle this, but I'm going to do this with a slightly, just like a quick trick here. And I'm going to say here is that I only want this to happen if the environment that I'm running is within Node. And a way that I can do that is I can actually, ideally I would just say this. If module, like if it exists, then I can do that. But this actually won't work because it's still not defined. But a trick that I can do is I can actually ask for the type of it, because the type of it will return. I can say, if I'm just like here, if I say type of module, I'm going to get undefined in quotes. So I can actually just check, hey, as long as it's not equal to undefined, then go right ahead. So now I should be able to not have this error in the browser, and watch this. Let me add this change. Git status, git add. Checking if node environment for module. And now, oh, I did mean commit, yes. 2 M's, 3 M's. How many M's are there in commit? I like M's. OK, now, remember, git push origin master. I cannot do it. I've protected myself. So I am now going to say, even if I feel, so one thing I probably want to do is I might as well make sure the tests still work. Yeah, so the test works, so I can feel pretty confident it's fine. Even with that change, Node is still recognizing the module. And I can say git push origin master, and then I'll call this branch module fix. I sent it up to GitHub. I'm now going to go back, and I'm going to go here. I'm going to say compare and pull request. I'm just going to create this pull request, and now I am going to wait. Come on, CircleCI. Tell me that my tests have passed. Oh, and somebody approved these. Thank you. OK, now I'm going to hit merge. Merge. Wonderful. So now I have a project that involves test-driven development. It has unit tests for the matrix math, though it has a protected master branch on GitHub, and only pull requests that run passing tests will be able to be merged. So I am now opening this repository up to the community. Obviously, I have a lot more work to do on it to make all the neural network stuff work, and you can imagine what other tests do I need to write. But this is why this is important. This matrix.js library is pretty terrible and inefficient and slow. So ultimately, I might like to continuously refactor all these math functions. And so I might start using things like reduce or fill, and I want to make sure that I didn't break the actual math. And this process of test-driven development will allow me to do that, and it will make it easier and nicer for those of you who want to contribute as well. Maybe I'll swap out this whole thing with another matrix math library, but use the same function names, and does the code still work? There's so many possibilities. So I hope you enjoyed all of these videos about unit testing, continuous integration, and test-driven development. Is it possible that I've actually done this? Because I am the least test-driven development person in the world. But I think it's a good thing, and I'm hoping to use it more in project in the future. Thank you again to CircleCI. If you're interested in signing up, you can check out this link here for sponsoring these tutorials. And I look forward to seeing you in future ones. I have one more that I want to make at some point, so hopefully there might be another video on this playlist. If you're watching this right now, you can check. If it's not there, you can complain in the comments. I love complaints. Warms my heart. Goodbye. Oh. Test-driven development requires the test to be written before the code. So should I not have said that? Am I going to get... Oh, right. Double equals triple equals. Yeah. All right. I think this is good. So I definitely need to stop now because it's 1:30. I'm here much later than I had thought for this morning session. I feel pretty good about this. Let's see if there's any pull requests here. Oh, there's already 4. Add product test. Make README more appealing and add more information. Let's take a look. Oh, this is awesome. Thank you. I'm just going to merge this. All checks have passed. Ooh, update branch. It's gonna rerun the tests. Fixing add function. Oh, interesting. Changing the I and J. So is this? I haven't used this convention in other places though, have I? I'll review these pull requests later. But that's a good one. Let's see. So let's merge this one. Where do I have the Travis logo sticker? Do I have it on my laptop? I don't have a Travis logo on my laptop. Oh, I do. I didn't realize that. Oh well. Okay. Hopefully that's not going to be too much of a problem. Maybe we can, Mathieu, you can fix that in post. Okay, let's update the branch. Let's see here. Running these tests. MTR Nord is probably a patron, right? Because if you're able to review and check things. Thank you. This looks great. Let's confirm that. Merge that one in. Add matrix plus matrix test. Conflicting files. Uh-oh. All right. So I'm not going to go through and this would be interesting to do to try to resolve this, but maybe you can refactor your pull request. musabkilic. All right. Okay. No, you're not. I'm just a normal GitHub user. So I guess do I have like just permissions that anybody can review? Anyway, I'll figure that out later. Okay. So thank you, everybody. Any questions? I hope to come back later this afternoon. I would like to do the gradient descent piece of the neural network library to really have it done. I need to prepare for that. I need to do some prep for that. So let's see if I can find the time to do that. Otherwise, maybe I will do a different coding challenge, or I'll come back and do the Twitter bot thing, which would be kind of interesting to have CircleCI tweet. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. So, whoops. Live, this is being live updated. Failed the test. The test is running again. Are there still conflicts? I'm not sure. All right, so any last questions? What are we doing next? Well, right now I'm leaving to go have some lunch, and I have a couple meetings I have to do this afternoon. And so I hope to come back, let's say like 3:30 or 4, 2 hours from now, and just do maybe, if I can finish off the gradient descent piece, I would love to do that. So the wallpaper, people ask me this all the time, and I have it in a shared Google Drive somewhere, but maybe I can make that available on the website. I don't know if, what's this screenshot? Oh, that's funny. All right, so I think it finished checking. Okay, did it? All checks have passed. Why are there these conflicts, though? I can't merge it because there are these conflicts. Let's take a look. Yeah, so fix those merge conflicts. Do I have to do that? That's a topic for another time. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I will be back this afternoon, at least to say hi. If for some reason I don't come back, I will post something to the community tab in YouTube and tweet. But I hope to come back at least for a little bit, even if just to say hi, that I unfortunately have run out of time for live stream today. So thank you all for tuning in. And I'll see you again a little bit later, I guess. Okay, thank you, everybody. I see in Slack that a link to the snowy wallpaper is coming. So actually, I can post it because I have the power to do that. Let's see if I can do that. Alko will probably get to it faster than me. Okay, thank you, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this special episode of the Coding Train. Thank you to CircleCI for their sponsorship. Thank you to MPJ for the wonderful videos that I watched that helped me figure out a lot of how this works. And thank you to ITP students who gave me good advice about this. The Coding Train patron community who showed me Jest as a testing framework I could learn, and to everybody out there watching for watching these videos. I will be back a little later today for a second live stream, and the edited version of these videos should be available next week sometime. It might take me a little longer because we're going to do some fancy post-production to them. But maybe all my gray hair can be fixed, and I didn't like a little some airbrushing here. And I'll see you all soon. Thank you.